on my gut. But every time Donald Trump speaks in public, that's fair game for prosecutors. I guarantee you they're watching and taking notes.
I suspect you're absolutely right. Andrew, do you see this as potentially an admission from Trump?
Well, I don't know if it's an admission of any specific illegal act, but it certainly goes to his acceptance of responsibility for making the decisions that ultimately led to this effort to try to overturn the election. It's also kind of consistent with the defense that we've heard his team float in the past, which is basically the I meant well defense. I really believed it, and therefore I was doing all these things under pursuant to my genuine belief that the election had been stolen. However, we know that that's not actually a legal defense. If you commit violations of criminal law with the best intention, they're still violations of criminal law. So all he had to intend, that mental state that the prosecutors have to prove, is that he intended to do these acts. And I think this statement certainly adds to that argument.
I suspect you're right as well. Elie, Mark Meadows, who was Trump's White House chief of staff, already lost his attempt to move his case to federal court. Given that, does Jeffrey Clark have a realistic chance of getting his case moved from state to federal court?
Well, if I think Jeffrey Clark has an extraordinarily weak and problematic argument here, essentially Jeffrey Clark has to prove that he was acting within his scope as a senior DOJ official. But the job of any DOJ official is to investigate in good faith, find facts, and act accordingly. What Jeffrey Clark did is the opposite of that. He drafted a letter that he wanted DOJ to send out to various states saying, we found evidence of substantial fraud. That is a complete fabrication by Jeffrey Clark. So if indeed he was acting within his scope when he made up those facts and tried to get states to act on it, then that's a very dark day for DOJ, and heaven help us all. And I think Jeffrey Clark is going to lose this motion.